Okay, I guess it's recording now.
Thank you. I approve the recording in progress.
Okay. All right. Well, hello. My name is Lauren Hickey. Hello, class. And today I'm having the pleasure of speaking with Dr. Jennifer Heinbaugh, the Associate Undergraduate Coordinator and Associate Professor of Management at Embry-Riddle. Dr. Heinbaugh has extensive experience in international business, marketing, and academia, which makes her an excellent resource on the role of business communication. Thank you for having me, Dr. Heinbaugh.
Wow, Lauren, you make me sound so much cooler than I really am. So thank you for interviewing me today.
Of course. All right, well, I'll start the first question here. Um, how has your experience in marketing and media influenced your approach to teaching international business, particularly in terms of effective communication strategies?
Wow, that's a really smart question, Lauren. I think this really resonates during COVID. If everybody in your class remembers during COVID, you might have been in middle school or high school, or you could have been, in the real world. We pivoted to online rescue learning, and I teach a very qualitative class. My class is qualitative. It's about people and it's about humans and how they interact. And the idea that we had to link that with making classes interactive and fun. And so I really took it really personal that we were going to make these classes fun. So I created a YouTube channel. We started doing like bringing your favorite pet to class. We would hold virtual office hours in the evening where you brought a cup of coffee and we would just talk about what it's like being through a pandemic. And I think it's key to really have that linkage because at the time I had students who were here in Daytona Beach as well as could have been in Pakistan because they had to go home. So it was really kind of magical that we were able to use that connectivity to kind of learn and grow. I love talking about current events. It's probably one of my favorite things to talk about in international business. So we would pick different things that were happening in their local community as well as in the national news to try to create that sense of community during a really kind of traumatic time that we were living through.
So let me ask you, was it difficult for any of the students, like for like time difference reasons or like Wi-Fi connectivity? Did that become an issue?
Oh, yes, it was. In fact, a lot of times we think of us being so connected. We all have our smart devices that we're here with. I had probably about 20% of my students that I taught that semester did not have Wi-Fi at their apartments. So they were sitting outside of coffee shops or in parking lots and borrowing Wi-Fi, as well as doing all their lessons on their phones.
Yeah.
In fact, it got to the point where I realized that in Canvas, there's a feature where you can actually upload things from text. And so I would add that to assignments because students didn't have the normal kind of able to upload things.
Yeah. Oh. All right. Next question. As both an educator and a former advisor, what key communication skills do you believe are essential for students entering global business roles?
I think one is being authentic, but also knowing the culture and the landscape of who you're communicating with. Um, Always kind of know what's happening. It could be as simple as a holiday or a tradition or a custom. And I think a lot of times we are so focused on ourselves that we don't realize that, something that we can do is a little mishap could be really inappropriate. And so we have to be aware of what the customs are. And just the great thing about it is we can Google anything now. And so I think the thing is, be authentic to who you are as well as being respecting of others.
So how, as far as like global and, respecting other like countries and other traditions, how do language barriers kind of fit in with all that?
Wow. I think language is really key. I think if you can maybe learn a phrase or something that's a salutation or how to talk to somebody that's not in the native language that you're going to, or a custom, or I know, for instance, my mom, her family grew up in Europe, and it's a tradition in her family to always bring a gift when you go to someone's house, right? And so just those little touches, I think knowing what would make that person feel special and honored is really key. And it could be maybe learning a fun fact about like the community they're involved in, or if it's a holiday, be cognizant that you're traveling on a holiday, or maybe it's a dish or a food that you should have. It's
Yeah.
just being appropriate.
That's nice. Okay. All right. Next question. From your experience working with international branding and market analysis, what are the biggest challenges businesses face when communicating across cultures? Which
I
kind of
think
gets
it's
to the other question.
Okay, I love this. I think it's assuming that all audiences are the same, right? I think the idea is, in our class that we just had, Lauren, we talked about the Super Bowl advertisements and what that looks like. I think a lot of those advertisements would not resonate in other parts of the world because they're, tied to very Americana themes, right? And I think knowing the fact that audiences vary, as well as, the brand might be the same, but the audience of who they're addressing is going to be very different. I think you have to be aware of that.
So would you say it's good, like for the ads, for example, to make like universally accepted ads that all cultures could understand?
So I like the idea of creating something that's universal that kind of goes from, I'll even use here in the US, the North and South are very different, East and West are very different. I think having a common thread that would, link all that together makes sense. But I think it's okay to have a specific ad that maybe resonates more in another part of the world with their local culture, like a dance or even music or, something that's very culturally appropriate for where they're from. I think that's really kind of cool. It shows that you have this multinational company that's able to adapt and adjust in a kind and just way, which I love.
Yeah. All right. Next question. Having worked both in academia and in the corporate world, how do communication expectations differ in these environments, and what lessons can students take from both?
So I think the biggest thing is professionalism. I think that's obviously something that translates in the real world and obviously in college. And the idea is if you practice the way we write emails and the way we communicate with our faculty members and peers, you'll model that behavior when you get that first job or second or third job.
I actually, as part of the class that I'm doing this interview for, we just did a project with the CCDM in the library.
Mm-hmm.
And the one that I had picked was like how to be more professional and write correctly depending on your major. Because, like in engineering, they use a whole bunch of different lingo, versus aviation or business. So I think it's important to kind of understand that too.
I love that. I love the fact that you reached out to the library because I feel like libraries, especially librarians, are this untapped resource that can really help with research and communication and all these really great things. And they're waiting to help.
Yeah, they are. Yeah. All right, last question. What advice would you give to students who want to enhance their professional communication skills to stand out in the international business industry?
Practice communicating with others. If you don't like presenting in class, force yourself to present in class. Maybe join a Toastmasters if that's something that's in your local community. Practice communicating because I feel like if you can effectively communicate your message, the receiver of the message will find value in it. And that's important. People, when they talk to you, always want to feel safe and comfortable and they want to understand what you're trying to convey. And if you come across as cold and aloof, immediately you shut down, and that's a universal thing. People want to feel kind.
Yeah. Yeah, I can agree with that. I practice so much with like public speaking and stuff, and it still gets to me sometimes. Like I still get nervous standing up in front of class, like showing something on the board. So I can I can see that practice would help with that a lot.
But I think butterflies and being nervous is a good thing because it makes you on your game.
Yeah, because you don't want to screw up. I think there's such thing as being too confident, overconfident when you're standing up there, and it kind of I think it could give a bad look if you're too too much.
It shows you're not authentic. We as humans make mistakes, and actually mistakes are good because you learn from things. So I
Yeah.
think being authentic to who you are is a good thing. It's also okay to pause when you're communicating in front of a group of people and saying, hey, I need a moment, or I need to think about that one, or that's a great question, things like that.
Yeah. All right. Well, that is all the questions I have for you today. So unless you have anything else that you'd like to add, thank you for talking with me today.
I want to say how proud I am of you, Lauren. You are a great speaker. You're a great student, and I think the world's lucky to have you.
Thank you.
Have a great
Bye.
weekend.
You
Bye.
too.